Hello and welcome everyone to week one of our 8-week web development course, web development for beginners. This course will take you through not only if you're starting your journey as a web developer or maybe you're restarting your journey as a web developer, but we will walk you through how to actually build web applications, web projects. And we're going to start today's lesson by looking at developers' tools and resources that are out there right after this short clip here. Hello again. I love that intro music. It always gets me ready to go and talking about web development. I want to go ahead and start just a little question to everyone joining because I'm so interested in seeing where everyone is joining from. I think we have a pretty global audience, judging from people who are registered and things like that, and also your experience level. This is web development for beginners, so I'm assuming most of you are beginners, but maybe you are defining beginner in a different way, right? Maybe it's you've tried to do web development before, taking some courses, maybe some tutorials, and then you just kind of get lost or get stuck on certain things. So this could be also a great restart for you on your journey of web development. I'm going to be helping everyone at all levels, hopefully, with this kind of this course. So let's see who we got. So we got Shainak from Nepal, beginner level. Hello, Nepal. Never been. Also, someone from Ukraine, some channel. Love the name. Love it. Love it. Mohammed. So you're Mohammed already you from the US and already from doing React development, which is great. This course will also cover React development. I'm going to go into more detail later on. We got a few beginners. Love it. London. Hello, London. Pega there. Oh, yes. We got a restarter. I love it, Francesco. Yes, I've been there. I've been to the restart level as well. You know, you do some tutorials, you do some courses, and then maybe you put it aside. It's hard to be consistent with web development. So I'm happy, and hopefully this will be your last restart for you as well. Some Dubai, yes, another beginner. So good diversity of both geography. We got almost everyone from around the world, it seems, as well as experience. So some people have done some things around web development in the past, or you're just again restarting, which is super cool. And also very proud. So we got another restarter, Joe, from the great state of Massachusetts. I love that. Love the pride. And you're restarting as well. Super cool stuff. Glad to have all of you here. You could be anywhere on the internet right now, but you've joined me for this web development course. So I'm going to first kind of walk through what we're going to learn in this course as a whole. What we're going to learn today as well, this week's topic, which is, again, web development and tools. And then lastly, the next steps. What should you be doing after you've attended the session or watched the recording? This will be put on YouTube, so someone may be watching this a year from now. So what are you going to do after this this session here, this first week? So one thing I want to say is that there should be no stress. I'm going to present a lot of like the titles, that different tools and resources that are out there that are going to help you through this journey of either starting your web development journey or restarting it. So I'm going to share a lot of resources. I know I've been on your side of these sorts of things where someone's like sharing stuff and you're trying to get like what the URL is, or you searching for these sorts of things. I'm going to put all of these links in this one sort of repository, if you will, just to kind of allude to what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to go ahead and put this link in the chat as well, so you all can get there. And yeah, so all the resources, all the links and things like that will be there. I'll share this again later on as well once you start doing that. So you don't need to stress or anything around what we're showing now, but all those things, the recording, the links, all of that will be for you later on. Cool. So what we're going to do, I also want to show a little inspiration, a little motivation, especially for the restarters out here. I just started this book, actually. It's called Mastery by George Leonard. Let me know if you've read this book in the chat. I would love to see if anyone else, so we may have like a little book club also with this web development. That would be lovely. But this book I just started called Mastery. And actually, it's like the first chapter, I think, is talking about actually like becoming master or learning new skills. And I really, really love this like path that they have here, where it's well, you might be kind of starting on the the very beginning of this path, but there's a lot of plateau when you learn new skills. Meaning, you might feel stuck. You might feel like you don't aren't getting it, and I think a lot of people quit at that time. And again, this is going to be an 8-week course. We're going to try to I'm going to try to put you on the path towards mastery. We won't master web development in 8 weeks, but at least this should be a good place to, again, to like I said, to start this journey and know that there's plateaus. Or if you're plateauing now, again, you're kind of feeling stuck. Maybe you learned some new things before, but you're not really upskilling or up leveling your level up your skills. This is also going to be a place to do that here. So if we're all on this path, and I'm happy to kind of help you along on your journey there. So about this course, I said in the intro, this is going to be an 8-week course. So week one, we're going to do some sort of, we're going to talk about some of the tools and resources that are going to really help us throughout the other weeks. Week two, we're going to do JavaScript, focusing on data types, functions, and methods, actually building on what the kind of building blocks of any application that you're doing. Week three will be JavaScript as well. We're going to make decisions in JavaScript, meaning we're going to apply a lot of logic and things around how we could sort of move our users or move the application in certain directions depending on what's happening in our application. Week four, we're going to do arrays, loops, and API. So a lot of things going on there. But APIs is very important. One of my favorite parts of web development is like using APIs. So let me know in the chat, have you used an API before? I really want to know if, I know we have some beginners, but maybe you've used APIs in other things. I want to know that to see what APIs you've used and have you used them before. That's super cool to know. Week five, we're going to introduce React. So I know we had one React developer in the chat already. React is a great way to build front-end web applications. It's quite popular. And normally there's a lot of debate around, should you learn React? When should you learn React? I think React, especially when you want to become like a junior web developer, is still very much on job descriptions or job ads. So we're going to start also learning some React as well. And then we're going to work with data in React. So maybe coming from the API side of things, and then also understand these concepts of state and events in React. That's kind of how it manages the front end. And lastly, we're going to make everything look good with CSS. So if you see this course and all of the stuff here, I'm doing a lot. We're going to do a lot of JavaScript. And I'm going to talk about that, but I'd love to see that now some people have worked with APIs before. That's going to be great. And we'll probably do some public API stuff. So that, again, you can get your hands on working with some data, and then actually how to get that into React as well. And then lastly, like I said, we're going to make things look good, but that's not going to be the big focus. We're going to want to work on building stuff that works first and then make it look good. I think that's going to be great for web development, for learning on your side. So this is going to be a very JavaScript focused course. I think JavaScript's a great language to start learning on. Most people, I haven't hung around those circles before, but a lot of times when you're starting out learning software development or even web development, you debate with yourself, or you go to different forums and what language should I learn? And I'm just going to go ahead and answer that for you. And you should learn JavaScript. Why is that so? Well, I think it's basically everywhere. I mean, you're not joining the stream without JavaScript. There's some JavaScript going on right now. It's super flexible. And by flexible, I mean you're able to do a lot of cool different things. You can even, with different frameworks and libraries, you can work with AI with JavaScript. You can work with 3D and 2D graphics with JavaScript. So it's super flexible, especially if you want to build something unique or a new unique project for yourself. And it's very visible. I think that's super important when learning programming, that you can actually see what you're making. On this channel as well, I've done tutorials around Python and Rust, and these are great things, but they're not as visible. They're not ways that once you start making things, you can start seeing it. And getting that feedback is just super important when you're on your journey of web development. So that's another thing that's really great about learning JavaScript. So that's what we're really going to focus on. And like I said, really focus on building things that work first and then making them look really awesome. I see some more APIs, so then some Google Maps, super nice. Mohammed, you're so advanced, Mohammed. Look at you. So you're doing some GraphQL stuff, which is super cool. That's another way of working with APIs. Normally, I think in the traditional sense, people have done the REST APIs, and then we've kind of outgrown that or slowly outgrowing it to Graph API. So that's something, just in case no one knows what that is, that's another way to working with APIs or different type. So our goal at this course is really, at the end of it, is to build a web application that you're proud of. Big emphasis on proud, not just because I put it in red and bold, but because I think anyone can kind of work through tutorials pretty easily. If you on YouTube now, obviously you could go and look at JavaScript tutorial, a React tutorial, and you could do something in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and have something built. But is that your application? Maybe you make some tweaks on it, things like that. But to make something that you're really proud of, it's something that you probably started from, not necessarily scratch, because you don't need to start building applications from scratch, but that you actually have built yourself and not just followed the tutorial or some guy or girl or person on YouTube, right? I mean, obviously you're doing that now, but I'm hoping that this might be one of the last tutorials that you will follow on with those sorts of things. We call this concept in programming called tutorial hell, if you will. So it's basically getting stuck in a loop, right? You're not building any personal projects or anything. You're just kind of watching the next tutorial, and you're not actually challenging yourself. So hopefully by the end of this course, you can feel comfortable in challenging yourself and building an application, and be doing that throughout this entire course. So how are we going to actually do that? First of all, we're going to do some applied learning. So I have some links. Again, those are going to be in the repository, or the links, and I'll put that up there again. So this will all be here. And we have two kind of applied learning links with Microsoft Learn. We're going to focus on GitHub and VS Code now today. And then, but if you are up for more of a challenge, we have this other ability to not only have us to learning by yourself, but also learning together. So I have put together this web dev meet matchmaking, and I've already seen that some people have posted here, which is super cool to see. So we have, I think some maybe are on here. So Valentina, hello if you're here. Adoring React, I love it. Sonia as well, so that's 4 years experience, which is really cool. And from Kathmandu, Shanak. So I think I did see you earlier on there. So this is just a place, so if you want to change it, push your experience level, name, your time zone, you can connect with other people that are doing this course. And I think that's a really great way to learn. Learning by yourself is okay, but it also keeps you accountable, and you can start building projects together, especially on a different level. I'm going to try to connect people as I see fit, like, oh, you have the same experience level, the same time zone, but do also, there's contact information here, and feel free to meet other learners that are doing this course. Super nice. We're also going to do a little competition. So if you want to compete and you want to get so certificate or award here for ending this course, or for the full end of the weeks, I've created a cloud skills challenge, which is a thing that we have at Microsoft for being able to track you actually completing all of the 8 lessons that are included in this course. It could be a speed thing as well. So if you're the first one, that'd be super cool, and we can track on the leaderboard. So I'll probably check in every week to see how that is going with everyone. But this is another kind of resource so you can compete, and kind of also give you motivation to do things. So check that out, Cloud Skill Challenge. Again, that's going to be on the main link that I shared out to everyone. So let me just drop that in this chat again, because now you know where things are going to be at, or what the things are that's going to be there. So there you go. That's in the chat. Cool. So about this week, what are we going to do today? So developer tools, what I think is really cool about developer tools in web development or in software development is that you can actually play like the pros, if you will, right? What does that mean? Well, everything I'm going to show you today, a professional web developer that works full time is using, most likely. And I think that's really unique and cool, because I play some sports and play piano, or trying to play piano, and most of those things like the pros use is not the same, right? They have some customized thing, or super expensive, or things like that. But it's really tough to then actually play like a pro. But with web development, you can do that pretty easily. I mean, every tools that you're using, you would use if you're a professional web developer. So we're going to look at the tools. We're going to explain what they are. So what exactly you should be downloading if you don't have it already, why we actually use them. Um, I think that's sometimes missing on certain things like this, and actually how to use them effectively. So even if you have these applications installed, there's still some stuff that you can learn today by actually using them effectively there. But I see, so thank you, Harry. The Web Dev Meets is missing on the link there. I will add that to that, but I will put this also in the chat, the Web Dev Meets side of things. Cool. Good. Thank you for letting me know that. So let's go into what we're going to, the tools that we're going to have. So the first thing we'll have is a code editor. The most popular one today, and the one I use daily, is VS Code. Let me know if you have VS Code already installed. It will make me super happy if everyone has it already installed, because then I won't get any issues or errors if you have any problems there. We're going to use a version control system. Well, I'll explain why we use version control, but the most popular one is Git and also GitHub coupled there. So I will walk you through why we use Git and also setting up GitHub and what kind of the tools that we have. And then a terminal. So depending on where you are, what you're using, and I would love to see, so cool, I see a lot of VS Code people, which is nice. VS Code, I have VS Code for the win. So it seems like a lot of people have VS Code, which is great. I'm going to talk about some of the extensions as well, so that you might not already have. And then also, we're going to talk about a terminal. I'm using a Mac today, and I primarily use Mac. But if you're using a Windows machine, I will also talk about Windows Terminal and how you can kind of get it customized essentially for better web development experience. I would say is the best way to put it. But let me know who's Mac, who's PC, and also if we have any Linux people. I'm a big Linux lover, but I'm not using it today. So Mac, PC, Linux. Let me just write that so I know what the audience is, so I don't leave people behind. Today we're gonna use Mac, but if everyone is on PC then or Windows, then I will backtrack and not do that. But cool. So everyone seems, at least that answered on the chat, has VS Code. But if not, this is where you will install VS Code. So you could just search on it, VS Code. It's not vscode.com. That's another site, but it's code.visualstudio.com. And if I go to that page, let's see, you'll see something here, which is, what's really cool about this page is that you'll see exactly the right version to download. If you're using, was it Chromebooks, this is going to be tricky. And if you do, please find me on the internet and I will help you install VS Code on Chromebooks. There is some great guides, so I can send that to you. I'll put it in there. But let me see how many people are using now. Mac and Linux, double dipping, love it. Linux, this is great, Z. You're already ahead of the game. Windows and WSL2. So we're going to talk about what WSL2 is, again, in case you don't know, but it's a great way to kind of make Windows operate like Linux, which a Linux friend like me, that's great to do. So Windows, I'm not keeping count here, but it looks like it's almost like half and half. PC, VS Code, Mac. Oh, wow. Oh my posh. So oh my posh is I don't know. I mean, I use it when I use Windows, but oh my posh is a nice way to make your terminal look cool, I guess, is one way to do it, but it's very functional as well. Windows for the win. You got the Microsoft heart. Love it. Cool. So again, it looks like a good even split. So maybe I'll each week I might like change it up and do Windows and PC. So just to make everybody feel included, which I'm all about. But VS Code, once you have it installed, so you just got to click on this link. Again, hopefully your version of the software you're using, your operating system is showing up here. If not, you can find things, and you can even do this on the web. But I think if you're doing any hardcore development or you want to work locally, it's one way you could do it is actually install it. When you have it installed, it'll look something like this. I'm using right now just the default theme. I'm going to talk a little bit more about theming later on, but just to kind of break, I have some files here. These are TypeScript files. This course is not teaching TypeScript, but just to show you, just to kind of give you a quick tour about things, you have basically your code in one window here, the editor, and generally your files listing in there. And then you have ways you can explore files like searching. I thought this was good. I haven't actually used this, but it actually outlines some of your programs as well, which is kind of cool when you're talking about variables and things like that, which is nice. And then normally you have these extensions on the left hand side. So I'm going to talk about extensions now, because that, like I said, I've probably used I don't know, maybe 6 different code editors throughout my time of learning web development. And they come and go as far as like, what's popular, what's cool, whatever what most people are using. And I think VS Code is going to be around for a very long time, largely because um, it has some really great extensions. Extensions are ways to make kind of VS Code work for you or work better depending on your use case. And we're going to install 3 extensions on our VS Code setup. One is prettier, and like the name implies, it makes your code prettier. When you're starting out coding and web development specifically, uh, your code can look ugly. And I don't mean ugly in a sense that it's bad written code, but sometimes you put spaces and things like that, or you maybe are copying pasting from somewhere else, and things aren't really looking right or not formatted. So prettier basically auto formats such things like that after you do some saving, and so really keeps things nice and organized and readable, which is really important when you're doing web development. Is that your program and your code is readable, right? Not only because you're sharing it with other people, maybe, but you later on might reference it or look at it. And if you can't read it, it's really hard for you to understand. The next thing we'll install is also Code Runner. And when I started web development, every time we wanted to like run just some basic JavaScript functions, we went to the browser, we did inspect, then we opened the console, and then we pasted the JavaScript on there, and then we saw the result. We need to do something like this because in JavaScript, it needs something to actually like run the code. So in this case, you need a browser to do that in web development. With Code Runner, you can do this pretty easily without having to go to the browser, and you don't leave VS Code, which I think if my goal in life would to be one thing is never to leave VS Code. Like I just want to obviously work all my workflows in VS Code, but sometimes you need to do that. And sometimes even if we like for a terminal, for example, there's one integrated, but sometimes I also use it for installing things globally, which I'll talk about later on. And then the last extension is Live Share. Live Share is a tool that essentially allows you to share your code editor or what you're looking at online. And it's really nice, especially when we're talking about meeting other learners or working as a team. I can basically send you a link, and you can see in my code terminal my actual code. So instead of doing like screen shares or copying and pasting the code and it's like, let me know what's not working, if you send a live share link to everyone, then you can see in real time what you're working on. It's really nice for like pair programming, which is a great way to get things down and things working there. So let me know if you have these extensions installed already. I'm going to walk through how to install them if this is your first time looking at VS Code, but it seems like at least the people who are active in the chat have VS Code installed, which is really cool. We're really getting through things pretty quickly here. But let me show you. So if I went here now to my VS Code and I go to this little, I guess, gear icon, I can go to extensions, and let me know if you can't see that. Let me just zoom in a little bit. It's probably going to zoom in on the code as well. Where are we? So I always move my buttons. So you should see this now. So if I went to Code Runner, let's see here. And what's really important too is like make sure that you have like these little icons, these logos are the same that I had earlier, because if not, like for instance, this is like Code Runner for Python for web, but it's running code for Python. So make sure you get the orange one, for example. because there's a lot of good extensions and there's a lot of ones that maybe are not the ones that we're looking at. So like this is prettier, and they have this like little verified kind of icons there. So also make sure that that's there. And prettier plus, I'm not sure. I've never used it before. What that is about, but don't install that one unless you want to. I'm not here to stop you. And then live share, which is the other one. So once you have these, once you want to install them, I have these installed already, but you just click on install. And what's also nice about extensions, you can disable and enable those things. So for example, like I have Copilot running here, and sometimes that could be distracting for me, especially when I'm in show code running. So maybe I can disable and enable these sorts of things. So once you have all these done, you can do that pretty well. So that's perfect. And I forgot, of course, to put my do not disturb on. So now you're going to get some Teams updates. Great. But that's a positive one. So cool. Let's see who's got this installed. So Lizette, thank you. Installed them. MM took me 1 minute. Love it. 1 minute to get all these instructions. So this is what I'm talking about. I think VS Code is going to live because it's the extension marketplace and things like that. Things are kept, and it's really easy to install these sorts of things. So we won't go through all that. So perfect. Rock, the Rock, got this done. All three are installed. Adeline, perfect. Mega Mator, I think that's how you say it. Sorry for butchering your username. Is done as well. Seems like everyone's got most of this done. And let me just show you. Let's see if I can just do a quick example. So if you have the code runner installed now, you should be able to see this run code button here. And let me just zoom more in here. So you should see this play button here. This won't do anything for this button. Let me see if I can make a new file. Let's see. Let's save this. Call it classically hello world or something. So if I want to do console.log hello world, right? So now if I had to do this, I would have to go in and maybe put this in my browser because I won't actually see this. But it's nice with Code Runner. I can go ahead and click this play button, and then you should see this output come up. And if you don't see that, you don't see the play button, I think sometimes you have to restart VS Code to actually get this working. But that's super nice because then now I can run, if I want to do like some simple functions or test something out, I can do that. We're going to install some later extensions later on, maybe like a live server or even to get like an actual server running in case we need to do something to interact with the web. But this is a super simple way to do it. And I've used other tools before like CodePen and Replit to teach. But I also think that like if you get too comfortable with those tools and then you go into VS Code, you're like, whoa, this is completely new. So I'm going to keep to using Code Runner for these sorts of things. And let's see if I don't know. Let's see. This won't work. But I wanted to show you prettier kind of working as well. Let's see. We do that. Prettier should. So prettier. They also, I think, also will be adding my semicolons here. So there's a huge debate in JavaScript if semicolons is necessary or not. So I don't type these most of the time, and I forget them. But it's good, clean code to have them. So like things like that will prettier also do that. So if you go to your prettier settings, prettier, you can see some of the settings. You click on this gear icon and extension settings. So I normally keep these sorts of default at the moment, but yeah, you can go in and dig deep and see what you actually want to change. But just to keep things really clean, I do that, and you can do this as well. Just keep things default for now if that's the first time you've installed it. Cool. So that is VS Code. So we're kind of, it seems like a lot of people have it installed already, which is nice. I also love to choose a theme for VS Code. So when I do presentations like this, I always have like the default theme. But if you do that, I have here, if I do Command Shift P, and I think it's Control Shift P for Windows people, then you can go to preferences and color theme. So I have like a few installed here. This is not the one I use daily. Most of the ones that I use daily, where are we at? So I really like this theme. Let me know. Let me know if you like this or not. I really like it. It's an orange. Most of my desk is like orangey flavor, so it's a cool orange theme. But let me know what theme you're using for VS Code. I want to see what's popular out there. I'm happy to change what's cool. But yeah, so it's nice because also you could see here like it highlights some of the variables and stuff like that. So not only is it theme important for like looks, but there's some functionality with some themes. So to get the syntax and stuff like that. So take a look at that. Let me know theme you're working on with the chat, and don't be afraid if it's default. Default is completely okay. Cool. There's when trying to get console, I got Node. It's not recognized as an internal or external. That's interesting. We're gonna also install Node, but I'm not sure. Would have to look exactly why you got that error. I haven't seen that before, but making sure that you actually have Node installed, Harry, is probably a good start, and we'll do that later on as well. Cool. So I think that's basically all the things I wanted to cover today for VS Code. This one is called Dark Orange. Where are we? Command Shift P, color theme. So I have this dark orange. You can just search on that if you like this theme, which I think you do rock. So that's good. I picked a good one. And then yeah, if you like light themes, like the white, you can also, there's some out there. But I'm a dark mode programmer, dark mode everything. So that's what I do. Cool. Yeah, it's dark orange. So I think there's another question there. Michael using Synthwave 84. Lots of neon. Yeah, I've seen that one. That one's a little intense. But if that's what you like, that's what you like. Cool. So, all right. So we're got our VS Code relatively set up, and it seems like most people had some things. Not many problems with installing this, which is nice. So now we're going to move on to version control in GitHub. So I normally I've said before that Git and GitHub are not the same thing, but most people get that confused because GitHub is very popular. There are other tools out there that you can use Git with, and Git is a version control system. But just to understand why we have version control, I want to just show you this little diagram. It might be hard to do this, but basically the problem that Git solved, and we had other systems before it as well, is that sometimes when you're working with code, not only code that you are working with on yourself, but also if you're working with a team, you might want to sort of build different features or different things on that application. So let's say we have an application that does, we're building a calculator or something like that, right? That's a classic tutorial. JavaScript built a calculator. There's probably a million tutorials on there. So I'm building this calculator, and I start out, maybe I want to like build some buttons. And then I say, oh, I'm going to just pick somebody in the audience. Alexandra. Yes. Alexandra, Alexandra, could you build those, the addition function? So I want to work on doing addition. So obviously it's a calculator, it needs to add numbers. Could you do that? And, while I'm building the buttons, you might be working on the adding functions, and maybe someone else is doing like division and multiplication. We'll be all working on the same code, and if we try to then say save it in one central place, we'd have a lot of problems, because maybe you introduce something that breaks my buttons, my beautiful buttons I made, and maybe the division works fine, but maybe there's a bug somewhere else. So we need a way to like maintain the versions of this so that we're all kind of working on the same code, but not the same exact code, because there's going to be a lot of problems with that. So Git allows us to do that. We'll probably work through a lot of Git throughout this entire course, but what I would like to say is, if you look at the main concept, which is a branch, so normally you start with the main branch, which is like, as the name says, the main part of your application is the main code base. If you want to make features to that, you can actually make branches on those things. So I want to make a feature, again, adding function, the vision function, and whatnot. We have different features on there. And then after I'm done with those things, as a team, or even if it's just me, if I do like personal projects, I do this all the time. Like I don't want to break the main application, but I want to experiment something. Normally in a team, you can discuss these changes. We do what we call submitting a pull request, and then the code goes into actual review process, either by someone that owns the code. So maybe it's a team that's not a part of you. Maybe you're contributing to open source and you want to work with the main team, or it's just you yourself that maybe you want to look at the actual changes first. And then we have this ability to merge that feature into main. So basically saying that, okay, Alexandra, you've done the adding. We looked at it, doesn't break anything. And there's also ways we can automate checking if it breaks sorts of things as well, which we'll talk about later on. And then we make it into their application. So not only now we have my beautiful buttons that I made on the main branch at the beginning of this application, but also now we have the ways we can add those numbers. So that's like a very brief summary of Git. And GitHub allows us to kind of publicly share that code around and manage those things. And there's different tools built into them. So let me know if you have already a GitHub account. I would say also add like your GitHub account or a link there on the chat. But I think YouTube has this weird thing where it blocks you sending the URLs. So it won't be hard. But let me know if everyone already has a GitHub account. But we'll look at like making the GitHub, or I'll walk you through GitHub now. But cool. So I'll see if anyone's got GitHub already. But this is my GitHub account, and it's not actually, I need to really work on this. So maybe in this course, I'll make my GitHub way better. But I am logged in now on my account, and you could do so many cool things with your profile these days that I haven't done when I first started. So like I just have some old photo and nothing about me and some achievements. But what's cool about GitHub is that also it tracks your contribution. So this is a shameful, people like to flex when they had this all green, like, oh yeah, I'm so busy. Most of my commits, this is my excuse at least, that go to private repositories, and I'm not tracking that here, but it's super nice to see and you track your progress. And I've even seen now there's like an iPhone app you can get, and you can actually like see what you, how you're progressing or how you're committing, things like that. So that's really cool. And then you'll see all the repos you made. And a repository is basically where that code, the main branch, the other additional branches that you made is being stored. So if I go to my repositories here, I can see this thing. So that if I go into that code base I just showed you just now, where we have this TypeScript app at, I can also see, like, here's the code that was basically in my VS Code now. But this is what's on the repo. This is what's saved there. And we also have branches. Let me just go ahead and zoom in here so you can see that better. So we have branches that you can switch to. So for instance, one of my connects that I'm working on here, it was doing these sorts of things on the main branch. And then if I go to the front end branch, which is what I was working on, you can see my commits. And the commit is essentially a save to that repo. So anytime that you're done with something that you're working on, you can commit, and that keeps it on your local repo. So you have a local repo there. But if you want to publish this to GitHub, then you will push that to GitHub and to the public repo that we see here. And I'm going to walk you through kind of that using GitHub Desktop. But let's see how many people have GitHub accounts. So Harry, you're set up. That's nice. Way to go. Valentina as well. I wish I could, maybe you could put like your GitHub handles. I don't know. There, maybe that's legal. YouTube won't claim that. But cool. So it seems like some people have GitHub accounts. If you don't have a GitHub account, we need to just go to github.com, register. It's relatively simple, and then you'll get pretty set up. And pick a cool profile photo. Don't be like me. Like this is not me anymore. I need to change this. Cool. So let's see. Yeah, a lot of people have GitHubs. Very cool. Got one already. Lutz. Perfect. Oh, not in use. I mean, I guess I could say mine's is almost not in use. But yeah, so you gotta get GitHub, gotta use it. It's really great for keeping your code. And also publicly, again, if we're talking about maybe preparing yourself for jobs or interviews, this is where most people start when they look at someone's CV as a web developer, is like their actual code, back in the day, when we did like this wasn't as popular, you had to like build a profile, like a portfolio, and show all your things, which is a great way to do that as well. But if you have GitHub and you have contributions, you have a repo that you're working on, it's going to be that's the proof that you know what you're talking about. So great way to have it, and it seems like a lot of you do have it. Perfect. That's great to hear. Cool. So that is GitHub. I use GitHub Desktop for managing my repos, and maybe some people will say that's not real GitHub. I don't know, but GitHub Desktop I think is great, especially if you're starting out or if you haven't gotten all of the concepts of GitHub properly, because it's super efficient. And I think even if you're a professional developer, GitHub Desktop is a great match because I'm a visual person, and it's really nice to get things done through GitHub Desktop. And let's see. So I got some questions on GitHub. There is a VS Code GitHub extension. You can install it. I won't put that as like something that you need to install now. But there is a way you can use that extension, which is a great, efficient way to do that. So of course, install it. And this is why I like GitHub Desktop. So this is my feelings as well. Sometimes GitHub drives you nuts, and I don't think it's necessarily GitHub Pervin that drives you nuts, but it's Git itself, because it can be there's a learning curve at least to getting all of the right commands down and things like that. So I want to walk through GitHub Desktop because I think that's going to make your life much easier, which I'm all about, trying to make your life easier. So GitHub Desktop is just here, what you can see here, and I won't be able to zoom in, I don't think, on this. Oh, I can. Cool. I need to map all of my things. So this is what GitHub Desktop looks like. And let me know if you can't see that. Let me zoom in one more time. It's kind of hard. Essentially, what GitHub Desktop does is you can actually, after you've installed it, and I have that link within the link repo, you can go in and you can do the either add a local repo. So if you've already started a Git repo on your local machine, you can also do that. You can clone a repo, which is really cool when you are using GitHub. So you can see all my repos here now. And if I wanted to, I can just go in and clone this repo onto my local machine. I don't think anyone's using the GitHub Enterprise here. If you are, then you can go ahead and sign in, which is great. And even by URL of the GitHub URL, you can also find those sorts of things. So I normally this is my workflow, might not be yours, but normally I actually make my repos on github.com, and then I can see that and I can add that or clone that here on GitHub Desktop. So that's one way to do it. And let me see. So some things right here. So yeah, there's many GitHub extensions. Choose the one that's either made by GitHub or Microsoft. Those are always going to be the best ones to use and most trustworthy. But yeah, if you search GitHub on VS Code extensions, there's going to be quite a lot of things. So let me just go ahead and drop that link again that we have for all of these links. And I'm going to add some more. But there we go. So in case you need to find where to install GitHub Desktop, you can do that. But what's really nice about GitHub Desktop is what's really cool, I like, is it tracks your changes here as well. So, I just made that file, that hello world JS, to show you what was in the code runner. This is also going to show every time I make a new file or a change to that, this will track those changes. And let's see if I can, where are we at? I'm so zoomed in. Let me zoom out a little bit. So what do we do with the hello world? Where did you go? Where did you go? Where did you go? Yeah, so I mean, I'll change some things here as well. Let's see, I'll change this to like get times. Right, even the smallest changes like this will probably break something. Remind me to change this back, everybody. So even so here, right, I have this changes, so I can see exactly what I changed. And what's important here is that whenever I want to make a commit, so meaning I'm going to save this file or basically into the repo. So this is one way to do that. Like I'm ready to commit this to the repo locally. I can go in and say, I'm going to do a summary here. I made some changes for you. I did it for you all. I made these changes for you. And then on a workshop, I mean, this is a good practice to do like some really descriptive uh, GitHub messages. So every time if you do this with the CLI, basically the command line, you need to put git commit and /m, and then you go ahead and do that stuff. So showing GS desktop, right? So I can go ahead and commit this to front end. And what you notice here is I can navigate to my branches, which is nice. So I commit to front end if I wanted to do that. And that's going to commit this change. And that's actually only going to save in my local repo. So if I went to GitHub right now, I won't actually see these changes in this repo. Let me see if I can find that for you. So if I went here, there's no changes right now, right? Last month I made these changes. That's a while ago. But now if I actually wanted to change this, I could go ahead and push to origin. So again, pushing to origin, and origin being what's on github.com, I can go ahead and make that change. And it's going to do some little magic there. And then if I go back and I refresh, now you see I made some changes. So if you compare that, I don't know, let me know if you've tried to learn Git and GitHub through the command line. This is super easy, much easier than maybe forgetting commands or forgetting things in the CLI. And there's different tools you can do to make that easier. But I really like this experience of this kind of visual side of things. So I do encourage you to take a look at that. And what's nice is also if I wanted to, I can like open this in VS Code pretty quickly, the code that I have. And I can also switch to branches pretty easily. And if I switch to branch, this also integrates with VS Code nicely. So you can see that I have this main, which is the main branch. And anytime I switch to, so now I have the code that's on the main branch and just change my VS Code just like that. If I wanted to, I can go in and change that to the front end code again, the front end branch. And then on my VS Code, you can see here now it's the front end branch. So the code is actually changing while it goes there. So it's really nice experience. I encourage everyone to try that out if you haven't. See, that link takes me to the intro to GitHub tutorial, troubleshooting the GitHub desktop version. Cool. I will change that link to make sure, but it should just, if you just do search on GitHub desktop, you will be able to find that. But good to know. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for calling out what's missing on this document. I just put it together, so sometimes that happens. So I would practice creating repos, creating branches, making commits. All of that can be done through GitHub Desktop, and the applied learning lesson that I mentioned earlier, that will also work you through those lessons, which is much easier for that. So we walked through GitHub Desktop, and the last thing that we'll cover today is the terminal. So let's see. The terminal itself. So if you look at my VS Code, I actually have a terminal built into VS Code. So everyone has this that you can go in and make see and make commands much like you do here. So if it's like node version, for example, or node B, that's going to work like the terminal that you have on your computer. I use this. This is my workflow again, specifically if when I'm working on a project and I need to like install, something like a node package or install React or something like that. I can do that just on the project itself. So that's one way I use the terminal. But if I wanted to like, set up an environment or anything like that, I normally use my own terminal to do that. I'm a Mac user and I use iTerm. Mac also comes with a terminal that's super sufficient to do things, but then it allows me to like navigate to different files. So I can like go in and let's say I want to look at different other files that I have in here. So getting started with TypeScript. I think I have some files here. So I have some files. So I can go in and do this like code, which you probably can't see this. Zooming in. And I can do this code dot. And essentially what that does is launch VS Code right at that file directory, which is a nice way to keep things super efficient and streamlined. So that's one way I like use my own terminal to use that. So that's it's a good tool to have open. I always have my terminal open for other things as well. But if you are using Windows, which is like my guessing is like 50% of you are doing that, and I think it was Z or someone already is using WSL2. So WSL2, just to give you some background, essentially allows Windows to operate as a Linux machine by essentially installing a remote box on your Windows machine. And the reason why I think Linux, one, the Windows terminal is super good. So installing Windows terminal itself, not just like the command prompt, is that it actually has a lot of more performance. And when you're installing huge npm packages and things like that, you can be able to do things quicker with Windows Terminal. And then we have this WSL2, which I encourage everyone to install because also when I do terminal commands, especially during this lesson, during this course, everyone will be able to run the same commands and not have like specific Windows ones and things like that. So this is the link, and it should be also in the collection there of the links. And if not, I'll make sure it's there. But then the last thing we'll do is install Node. So Node is a basically one you can use Node to also use for JavaScript for backend coding, but it's also super important when we're talking around installing npm packages and things like that. So let me know if you already have Node installed. But if you don't, let's see, Node, you just go to Node.js. And this also is going to have the different versions and stuff like that there. So you always do the recommended for most users. You don't need to do the current users. We're going to talk about managing Node and stuff like that. But that is one to install Node. And then there's actually, if you go to this documentation, I'm going to have a link. It'll actually explain to you exactly how to install Node.js on Linux and WSL2, which is a great tutorial there, or to walk you through, because sometimes it could be tricky if you haven't done this before. But basically, it's kind of run a couple of commands and NVM, which is a Node version manager. So cool. I can see some people already telling me that you've installed Node. So Node version 14 and 16, which is interesting, and Node version 16 as well. So another thing about Node is there's a lot of versions out there. Because like this is the new one. This is an 18, and sometimes the things that you want to do, especially when you're working with React, they aren't supported in whatever Node version you have. So what this tutorial, this documentation, we're actually installing Node version manager, and we will probably do this as well, where we have to switch different Node versions at times. But so Node version manager is a great way to do that in managing those things. But this is all that you need there. So I see also, Valentina, you've got Node. That's great. Mac Mini, super slow. What? Nah. But so sorry, Pervin. Thanks. So this will be recorded, so you can take your time. Don't worry. And on Windows, we don't install Node.js on Windows. Yeah, first install WSL2. Which is in this, how to install Linux on Windows WSL, which is all there, which is just a basic command. I think in the newer versions of Windows Terminal, it comes pre-installed. Don't quote me on that. I know that was something they were talking about. And then install Node, which is there. So even in this tutorial, it shows you how to install WSL2 first. Z, you've got the updated version. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, Mohammed has mentioned NVM is a great way to switch between Node versions. There's actually a different tool I heard about now that you can switch to Node versions. It's much quicker. But yeah, NVM is. I'll be using NVM for this course. Cool. So that, I think that gets us a good place for everybody to start doing the other parts of this course. So like I said, making sure you have VS Code all extensioned out, if you will. Pick a theme that you like to work in. Like coding is about being consistent or learning to code. So pick a nice theme that is homely and cozy for you to work in. Get a GitHub account if you don't already have that, and then make sure your terminal, especially if you're using Windows, supports WSL2 and install the Node as well. Cool. So let's get back to the presentation. So next steps. So like I said, competing together is really cool, really fun way to do this course. I think to see how how fast people are getting through this, and also comparing. I mean, competing. You need to compete against yourself, which is important, but also it's fun to compete. So that web challenge link that's going to be in the main one is also going to be there. If you don't want to compete and you just want to take this, week in by week out, these two lessons. One is about GitHub, so it's going to give you way more in-depth explanation of GitHub than I just did. This is just kind of get you started, and also setting up VS Code. Those two things would be included there. So again, those links will be on the link repo, and then all the links I shared last mentioned will be there. And I think I was missing two links: the Meet link, which is the one about meeting everyone that's taking this course, and then I think also changing the GitHub desktop. So I didn't take notes, but now I remember. So that's pretty good. Cool. And if you need to find me, if you want any questions around that, I will be in the post as well. So if you have any questions or you're getting any errors, I know there's a few people that got stuck already. You can paste that here. You can find me on these social channels as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing all of you for all 8 weeks, either live here. Again, like I said, this goes recording after. So even if not, you could take it as you do, and ping me when you're done with the 8 weeks. Even if it's like a year from now, we'll be super happy that somebody did it all 8 weeks. But I'll take any questions now. While I'll put this link on the chat. So great. So I found some resources explaining the why behind needing WSL when I first installed it. Is there a place we can attach resources for the community? Yeah, so on that link I sent, which is super nice that you want to share something, that's really awesome. If you go here, you can actually post things. This is a forum. It's not just me posting links. So it's a forum. If you have any questions, if you want to share other resources that you're learning, which is nice to do, because I'm not going to teach everything here. And it's always great to find other additional resources that you find helpful as a beginner or a restarter. So yeah, feel free to share those sorts of things as well. And yeah, so where can we find the recordings every week? That is going to be on this channel, so the Microsoft Reactor channel. We'll have a playlist put together as well. So if you can't come live, you will also see those things there. Can I show which GitHub extensions you recommend? So I don't have any GitHub extensions on mine, actually, because I used GitHub Desktop. Let's see what we have. So yeah, this one right here. It's a pull request provider. So this is going to do if you need to make any pull requests. I do have Copilot installed, which is nice. Code spaces, we won't do that anything with this course. But this is also if you want to have like an instant dev environment. So let's say we have, especially when you're doing web development, you need to have all these what we call dependencies, extra things to get your code running. GitHub Codespaces really saves a lot of time with that. So you can have one kind of beautiful package there. So yeah, I mean, the pull request, if you really wanted to install that, you can do that. This GitHub one, you see this cross in there. This extension is deprecated, so it's not supported anymore. So I wouldn't install that. So I mean, Harry, yeah, I wouldn't stress if you don't have a GitHub extension. You don't need one. There are some great ones out there that also like GitHub Actions, but you don't need one at this moment to get things going there. And GitHub Desktop is perfectly good to do that, working there. Cool. This link from the page above. Thanks. Cool. I'm going to end with this thumbs up from Michael. But thank you everyone for joining and sticking around. And again, if you're watching this later on, thank you for watching. I hope to see you next week, same time, relatively same place, not the same link. Yeah, I would love to see a lot of activity in the sharing resources here. Let me know if you get stuck. Either find me on socials or post there. And I will put the Meet link. So really connect with everybody. I mean, I'm the only here to teach, but the best way to learn is learning together. And if you're connecting with everyone here, it's going to be a super fun course, and I'm looking forward to the 8 weeks. But have a good morning, good evening, afternoon, wherever you're joining from, or even when you're watching later on in the future. See you next week.